Hello, my name is Father Norm Douglas. I'm pastor of St. Vincent de Paul Parish in Akron, Ohio, and I've done these videos from time to time. And in a special way now at the parish, we are starting something called Parish Connections. Each week, I will be sending out to all of you. In fact, if you want to know who is getting this email, it's folks that have given us their email from St. Vincent who are connected in some way with us. And so this is the beginning of a weekly parish connections that you will receive. A short video from me, and then also just finding out some other things about what's going on at the parish, and again, about how we as Christians reach out and make a positive, loving difference according to gospel values in the world. Often when people come to me and find out I'm a priest, they'll say things like, "Oh, well, were you in second grade and you wanted to be a priest and your family was very encouraging of you?" And I've said, "Not the case." Probably it's not the case for a lot of people who become priests today. But for me, in a particular way, I didn't grow up in a religious household. And by the way, when I talk about connections, religion, the very word religious means to reconnect. And isn't that what we all need to do? To reconnect with ourselves, be more in touch with who we are, what we believe, what's important to us, how we live. Reconnect with family and with the creation around us and with the human family. Reconnect with God, that source of life that really wants his whole human family, not only to get along, but to genuinely care for each other and help each other to be their best. We need connections, and at times, if we've been apart, we need to reconnect. Anyway, going back to my own story, my mom and my biological dad got married in California in the 1930s. And at that time, they were enjoying the California spirit, and they certainly weren't going to any church. Eventually, though, when my mom was pregnant with me in 1946, my biological dad skipped town. He left. She never saw him again. You can imagine what a deep hurt and feeling of resentment that was. And then 3 years later, she met a school teacher from Akron, Ohio, who was visiting his aunt on vacation. He was in California, met my mom. They connected after a few weeks and had a good relationship. And so he came back to Ohio and sent for us, my mom and me. I got to tell you, at that time, we took a car. It was December from sunny California to snowy Akron. My mother had a big adjustment to make. Me, I was excited to see snow for the first time. Anyway, that marriage didn't last very long either. My stepdad had a drinking problem, an alcoholic, and so my mom, very protective of me as the only child I was and still am, that she moved out and had an apartment that we lived in. And again, on North Hill. I'm a North Hill boy, Akron boy. Went to Finley, Jennings, and North High School, then the University of Akron, and then to the seminary in Cleveland. But my growing up years certainly were not like in a religious sensibility. My mom had a negative experience toward religion growing up because it was a religion in Staten Island, New York, that for her temperament was much more serious, somber, kind of a heavy tone about it. My mom was a very vivacious, lively, positive person. So that connection didn't work. And so when she got to be a teenager, she quit going to any church. And then in California, didn't go either. Came to Ohio, she eventually sent me to a nearby Protestant church because she did think that even though her view toward religion was skewed, that going to a Protestant church would be good for me, give me some good core values, and they did. And I was actually very involved in that particular church, best friends with the minister's son. Eventually, he and his whole family moved to Indiana because his father got a new pastor position there. And after that, I was in about ninth grade. A new pastor came to our church, didn't relate as well with him, and partially probably because I was already, as a 15-year-old, declaring my independence. declaring that my life, yeah, sure, I believe in God, but never really through those high school years thought that much about the Lord or tried to better understand what He might be saying to me, how He might be guiding me, how He might be challenging me. I was on my own. And then at the end of my high school senior year, a lot of you know this already, I've mentioned it at church, two friends from North High, Fred and Eileen, were dating and they invited me to come to Catholic Mass with them. They invited me on Easter of my senior year, and I said, nah, I'm not going to go. It's too crowded. Well, God bless them. They invited me a week later and said, hey, come to Mass now. It's not going to be that crowded. I think you'll have a good experience. Well, I went thinking, well, I'll humor them and be nice to them. They're good friends. But I can tell you, for me, it was a reconnection with a God that had been with me in my childhood and thought, well, now I'm a grown up now. I don't need it. What I realized in that moment, no, growing up is a lifetime experience, and I need the Lord God to be the one who guides me, helps me mature, helps me keep my head on straight, helps me keep my heart open to people and not be so self preoccupied. So, from that time on, and I'm not going to bore you with a lot more of this now, that I kept going to the Catholic Church and went to the Newman Center at the University of Akron, uh, went through what was called instructions there. Today, in the Catholic tradition, we talk about the RCIA, what I sometimes kiddingly say stands for the Roman Catholic Intelligence Agency, but it doesn't. But it does stand for the Rite of Christian Initiation of Adults. And I've seen a lot of adults come, like I did, I was 18 at the time, come to a faith that recognized that, wow, I knew I was missing something. That was my case. I knew that, yeah, I was doing well in school and positive and a lot of people liked me, but there was a missing piece. And when I reconnected with religion, when I reconnected with God and His love through Jesus Christ and the Spirit that lives within me and in each of us, that was the fulfillment I was looking for and didn't even realize it. And I've spent a lot of my life now, obviously, after I went to the University of Akron, the Newman Center, the Catholic Student Center. When I graduated, I felt the call to become a priest. I actually felt that call about 2 months after I became Catholic in my freshman year at a retreat for college kids. But I remember thinking, no way, I don't even know the holy days yet. And are you sure, Lord, this is you or just me? I tend to be enthusiastic about everything I get into. So I thought maybe this is a passing enthusiasm. But it lasted. It lasted, and I went to the seminary and then was ordained in 1974. Another interesting thing, my mom, she saw the positive experience of our faith. Remember, she had had a negative experience. She opened up to it, and eventually she became Catholic. She had never been baptized as a child. I'm the person who baptized her. It was my very first baptism. And it was on St. Patrick's Day in 1974, even though we're not Irish. Obviously, St. Patrick and all those Irish people were pulling for us. Well, I don't want to go on more about my life. As I said, I'm going to do a weekly video along with, you'll get some other resources, inspirational, insightful about our faith. And I hope that many of you will open up each week and watch this video and see what we have for you. Again, reminded that I'm sure some of you don't go to church that often. Maybe some of you have been alienated. There can all be all kinds of reasons we don't need to enumerate why that you drifted away from the faith. Again, like my mom, maybe a negative experience. Or maybe you just kind of drifted away and just gradually and you haven't been going lately. And I would say this, not being pushy about that, but take another look. I can tell you, I've seen so many people be away from church. Sometimes they say, oh, Father, I've been away for 20 years. God must hate me, or you're going to need to chew me out. No, what I say, and what about any priest would say, who's somebody been away for a long time, welcome home. We're glad to have you back. think about it. And maybe if you're very involved in your faith in a way that gives you hope and meaning and purpose, maybe share that with somebody else. You know, if Fred and Eileen had not asked me, I probably wouldn't be here today. We have a real gift here. Is our church perfect? Heavens, no. I'm not either as a Catholic priest. We've seen too many imperfections. But again, we're reminded any faith or any church or synagogue or mosque you belong to, yeah, we're a human community and we fall short. We point to a God in Christian faith, we point to Jesus Christ. He's the ultimate perfect one. That if we come to church as Catholic Christians and hear the scriptures and share in the Eucharist, the real presence of Christ wanting to nourish us, that's what matters most. I hope many of you will consider coming, if you already have or will come, to St. Vincent Parish community. Everyone's welcome, and we have Mass every Saturday night at 5 p.m. and Sunday at 8:30 and 11 a.m. And if you just want to get a glimpse of what we do, we live stream the 11 a.m. Mass every Sunday. You can watch it at that time on our website. Just go to the St. Vincent de Paul Parish, Akron, Ohio, and it'll get you there. And also, it's video streamed and it can be watched at a later time. If you're like me, now I obviously get up early. I'm the priest, but probably if I was in my natural rhythm, I'd watch that 11 a.m. Mass about 2 in the afternoon. Well, anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you'll come back and reconnect. That's what religion at its best is all about. God bless you.